Hey guys, let us start with the topic types of price elasticity of demand today. This is a very important question from your exam point of view. Now there are totally 5 types of price elasticity of demand. So without wasting much time, let us start with the answer. Type number 1, first type, perfectly elastic demand. Now see, this can be understood in a very simple term, simple language, as the word perfectly means totally, elastic means changeable. So it's totally changeable demand. That means the demand's response is too much responsive demand, very much responsive demand. Now let us directly go to the meaning. I have written the meaning on the board. When a slight or zero change in the price brings about an infinite change in the quantity demanded of that commodity, it is called perfectly elastic demand. That means what? When there is a very minor change, let us say hardly 1% change in the price of a commodity, and still there is too much response from the demand side. People are demanding the product like crazy, they have gone crazy behind the product like that. It is called perfectly elastic demand. Now think about it. Is it possible? Actually, it's not possible. It's just an imaginary situation, or we may say it's only a theoretical concept. It's a theoretical concept. It's not possible actually in real life. I repeat the meaning. Perfectly elastic demand. That means in your mind you may understand it as totally changeable demand. When a slight or zero change in the price brings about an infinite change in the quantity demanded of that commodity, it is called perfectly elastic demand. That means quantity demanded responds like anything. People go on buying, people are demanding and demanding the product, which is not possible actually. Now let us see the formula. ED, elasticity of demand, is equal to percentage change in quantity demanded upon percentage change in price. Now in this case there is an infinite change in demand, and hence price elasticity of demand in this case is infinity. So ED equal to infinity, because it is a case of perfectly elastic demand. That means totally changeable demand. That means too much responsive demand. Now look at the diagram alongside. As usual, price is always on the y-axis, quantity demanded is shown on the x-axis, and you see there is a horizontal straight line parallel to x-axis DD, which is demand curve. Now I have shown that with the dots ahead. I have shown it the extended demand curve, because since it's an infinite demand, to show that infinite demand, I have just kept it on with the dotted line. DD is shown with the dotted line ahead, and in this case elasticity of demand is infinity. So it's a theoretical situation. I hope the point is over. Perfectly elastic demand, that means it was totally changeable demand, totally responsive demand. Now moving to the second point, it is opposite. It is perfectly inelastic demand. Now see, here the word in has come, inelastic. In means it's a negation of anything, it's a non. When we want to say no, in comes. Inelastic means non-changeable. Perfectly non-changeable demand, that means demand is not going to move at all. Demand will remain as it is. Demand is not going to change at all, and hence it is a case of perfectly inelastic demand, non-changeable demand. Let us see the meaning. When a percentage change in the price has no effect on the quantity demanded of a commodity, it is called perfectly inelastic demand. I repeat, when a percentage change in the price has no effect on the quantity demanded of a commodity, it is called perfectly inelastic demand. For example, see, whatever may be the price change, the price may rise, the price may fall, whatever may happen, but the quantity demanded remains as it is. That's the case of perfectly inelastic demand. And here the right example is salt. Because see, I hope you understand the point yourself. Salt, we use it in a required quantity only. Whatever may be the price of salt, price of salt may rise, price of salt may fall, but still we have to use it, and we do use it in the required certain amount only. So the price change does not carry any effect on the demand of salt, and hence for salt is the example of perfectly inelastic demand. That means totally non-responsive demand or non-changeable demand, whatever may be the price. Now here the formula is elasticity of demand equal to percentage delta Q upon delta P, change in quantity demanded upon change in price. Now here I have taken example of 10%. So 0 upon 10, which is equal to 0. So in this case, since the demand does not change at all, so we may say there is a zero change in demand, and hence we are writing there elasticity of demand is equal to 0. Now look at the diagram. As usual, OP is the original price as it can be seen on the board. At original OP price, quantity demanded OQ. Then we have shown the case of price rise. That is, we have shown the price rise to OP1. At OP1 price, again the quantity demanded is OQ1, OQ. That means same quantity is demanded. And even if we consider the price fall and we take the new point as OP2, but still the quantity demanded will remain same. That will be OQ only. So that's why we get a demand curve which is vertical straight line parallel to y-axis. So on the same demand curve, we are getting different points. So the demand curve remains same because the quantity demanded does not change at all, and hence elasticity of demand is equal to 0 in this case. This case is rare, but it's possible, and it happens. We have seen the example of salt clearly. I hope it helps. Now next, coming to third type of price elasticity of demand. Third type is unitary elastic demand. Now you must be knowing unit means one. The word unit indicates number one. Unitary elastic demand means equal demand. That means whenever we divide the quantity demanded by the change in price, the answer will come 1. So when there is equal change, that means say percentage change in price 10, the change in quantity demanded 10%. If price changes 20%, demand changes 20%. So that is called unitary elastic demand. That means both the variable change is same, proportion is same. I go to the meaning now. When a percentage change in price leads to a proportionate change in quantity demanded, then demand is said to be unitary elastic. I wrote simple example on the board. 20% price fall, 20% rise in demand. So 20 divided by 20, answer will be 1. So it is called unitary elastic demand. I repeat the meaning of unitary elastic demand once again. When a percentage change in price leads to a proportionate change in quantity demanded, then demand is said to be unitary elastic. So up till now, we learned three types. Perfectly elastic demand, that means infinite change in demand. Perfectly inelastic demand means no change in demand at all, so ED equal to 0. And unitary elastic demand case, we are studying right now. Here we are taking the example of 20% fall in price of a commodity which leads to 20% rise in the quantity demanded. It's not compulsory to consider 20%, whatever number you consider, but it should be same because we want to show here unitary elastic demand. Unit means 1. Now let us put it in the formula. ED equal to percentage delta Q, that means change in quantity demanded, upon percentage delta P, change in the price of a commodity, which is equal to, in our example, 20 upon 20, which is equal to 1. So here we are getting ED is equal to 1. 1 is unit. It's unitary elastic demand. Now let us explain this with the help of diagram also, the alongside diagram. As usual, price on the y-axis, quantity demanded on the x-axis. OP, original price, and the new price, that is with the fall, new price level we are getting is OP1. So I have shown with the help of downward arrow as usual. Then the quantity demanded rises from OQ to the point OQ1, which is also shown with the red color arrow, the right shift in the quantity demanded. And then we are getting this slope of the demand curve. We are getting this unitary elastic demand curve. The slope of the demand curve, I have shown it, nice curvature slope with the help of the downward arrow where ED is equal to 1. And here you will mention the slope of the demand curve, rectangular hyperbola. That's the slope of our demand curve here. Okay. So unitary elastic demand is over. I repeat, unit means 1. So the percentage change in both the sides in the quantity demanded as well as in the price should be equal. That's it. Now let us move on to the next type, that is fourth one, relatively elastic demand. In this case, elasticity of demand is greater than 1, ED greater than 1. Now forget this economic term. Let us talk in the normal common language. What do you mean by relatively? The word relatively means comparatively. When we compare something, then we say in relation with, in comparison with. Relatively elastic. Elastic means changeable, more changeable demand. So comparatively more changeable demand. So from the name itself you come to know that the demand changes more as compared to the price change, and that's why it is relatively elastic demand. It is greater than 1. That means the demand, the quantity demanded should be more than equal. It should be greater than 1 means it should be more than equal. So let us see the meaning. When a percentage change in price leads to more than proportionate change in quantity demanded, the demand is said to be relatively elastic. I repeat the meaning. When a percentage change in price leads to more than proportionate change in the quantity demanded, then the demand is said to be relatively elastic because there is comparatively more change in the quantity demanded. Now here we are taking the example of 50% fall in price which leads to 100% rise in demand. Now let us put it in the equation. ED equal to, as usual, sorry, percentage delta Q upon percentage delta P, which is equal to 100 upon 50 as we have taken the example, which is equal to 2. So elasticity of demand which is equal to 2. Hence ED is greater than 1. So this is the case of relatively elastic demand, or in simple words we may understand it as comparatively more changeable demand, comparatively more responsive demand, highly responsive demand. Demand gives more response to the price change. Let us put it as usual on the diagram. I would request you people to use the scale while drawing the diagram, please. Please use the scale, take the proper measurements to show these types correctly. OP, original price on the y-axis as usual. OQ is the original quantity demanded. As we have seen, 50% fall in the price. So there is fall in the price from P2, from point P to P1. Then the quantity demanded rises from OQ to OQ1. Now as mathematically we are putting it, 50% fall in price leads to 100% rise in demand. That means whatever is the distance of fall in price, there should be exactly double distance in the increase of quantity demanded. I hope you understand it. So the distance should be double. That's why I told you to use the scale. That's it. You show it clearly, then you get a nice demand curve, a flat sort of demand curve, curvature flatter demand curve. You will get a nice demand curve. Relatively elastic demand, ED greater than 1. Very simple type. Now let us move to the last type, relatively inelastic demand. Now as I told you in the second type, in perfectly inelastic I had told you, in means negation. So here negation or less, relatively inelastic, that means comparatively lesser change in demand. In this case, ED is less than 1, which can be seen in the bracket. So let us go to the meaning. When a percentage change in price leads to less than proportionate change in quantity demanded, the demand is said to be relatively inelastic. That means what? Whatever is the change in price, the response of demand will be less response. From the demand side, there will be lesser response, and hence the type is relatively inelastic demand. That means comparatively less responsive demand or less change in demand, and hence the elasticity of demand is less than 1. I repeat the meaning once again. When a percentage change in price leads to less than proportionate change in quantity demanded, the demand is said to be relatively inelastic. Now let us take an example. As I have written everything on the board, 50% fall in price. Let us assume it's resulting in only 25% rise in demand. So let us put the amount in formula. ED equal to percentage delta Q upon percentage delta P as usual, which is equal to, in this case I have taken 25 upon 50. So the answer is 0.5. That means ED is less than 1. So this is relatively inelastic demand. That means the response of demand to the price change is comparatively less. Now let us move on to the diagram. As usual, price is shown on the y-axis, quantity demanded is depicted on the x-axis. OP is the original price. OP1 is the new price. That means there is a fall in the price from OP to the point OP1, which is shown with the red color arrow. Then the quantity demanded rises from OQ, which was original quantity, to the new point OQQ1. That means the rise proportion is QQ1, which is shown with the red arrow. So here we are getting comparatively steeper slope of the demand curve DD, which again is downward of course, and so elasticity of demand is less than 1. So with this very important topic of yours, price elasticity of demand, is finished today. Let me revise all the points in short once again. Types of price elasticity of demand, your main question. There are totally 5 types. First was perfectly elastic demand, which means totally changeable demand, too much responsive demand. In that case, ED was infinity because there was infinite change in demand. Then second type, perfectly inelastic demand, that means totally non-changeable demand. Demand will not change at all. Example, salt, ED equal to 0. Then third type, unitary elastic demand. The word unit means one, which means there is exactly equal proportionate change in demand as per the change in price. So the change in price and the change in demand will be exactly equal. So the answer comes 1. Here in this case, we get the slope of the demand curve as rectangular hyperbola. Next, point number 4, relatively elastic demand. It is more responsive demand and hence ED is greater than 1, where the slope of the demand curve is curvature, that is convex, ED greater than 1. Then point number 5, relatively inelastic demand, in which it is less than 1 because there is lesser response from the demand side. In this case, we get a comparatively steeper demand curve sloping downward, of course, ED less than 1. So that's it. That was a very important answer, price elasticity of demand. I tried my level best to put it in very simple form possible for me. Just go through the lecture. If you find this useful, do like and subscribe to my channel, and do share this lecture if you feel it worth. Thanks for watching.